We should have music. We should have opening music for our podcast.
Yeah, I agree.
I think we're open now, aren't we?
So are we
Well,
live then? Are you recording?
We're starting.
So
we
we've
started
started
now.
See, if we don't have opening music and we don't have Jerry,
How do we know?
all we're left
How
with
would-
is Ryan, me, and Jim.
And then there were 3.
That's
Yeah.
right. 3 that remain standing.
Yes. This is the third podcast with no Jerry.
Out of 4, right? No, third. No, second out
The
of 3.
third in a
total.
row.
No, he was
He's-
here last time.
He was?
He was here last time because he had just gotten back for
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Out
that's
west.
right, because I had it was the No More 24.
right,
But he showed
he
up.
ruined it.
He showed up. He screwed it
Yeah.
up.
Correct.
So we're no more 24 plus 1.
So it's the third podcast with Jerry's absent.
And we're celebrating our silver anniversary, 25th.
That's
We
right.
are 25th anniversary podcast.
Who would have thunk?
Yes. Episode 25.
Ratings continue to
we get-
climb.
They will be stellar for this one
We're
because
getting the
again,
Nielsen ratings in.
because there's no Jerry.
Oh,
He's a worldly
absolutely.
traveler. He's just like he needs a NetJet account. That's what he needs. He does, you give him like $125,000 and you get like 12 flights to anywhere in the continental United States.
Can
or
we
something
send him
crazy.
anywhere we want to send him?
That's what it is. You ever Google NetJets? You ever wonder?
I
You see
haven't.
people cruising around on jets, and I'm like, how do they afford those things? Because jets are not cheap. So, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of them rent them or lease them or whatever you say. NetJet it.
Jerry's here in spirit.
Yeah, he is. There he is.
Oh, you've got him there. He's
That's
on
a-
Maui with you,
That's a
Jim.
great. Oh, there he is.
Oh, God.
Thumbs up.
We've got the blessing from Jerry. We can begin.
It's already quieter and more subdued.
Our last podcast was on November 8th, is what I had wrote down.
Yep, week
about
ago-
eight
week
days
ago
ago,
today.
roughly.
Yesterday. We go yesterday.
Yeah, so 8 days ago. And I don't know what has happened much in the last 8 days,
Oh, a lot.
racing wise.
A lot.
There's been racing in the last 8 days.
Have you been racing, Jim?
Have we had any racing
No,
in the
I
last 8
don't.
days?
I don't
I don't
think
believe
so.
so.
I don't believe so.
Because we had Casa Grande in
That was a couple
the
weeks
week
That was a
before.
couple
Yeah.
weeks.
Yeah. And,
And then
then
they have
they,
another one
they
this-
were off.
this weekend.
Yeah, they're racing this weekend at Casa Grande. They got modified stock cars, sport mods, not to be confused. Not to be confused with Northern Sport Modifieds. They will be running sport mods.
Exactly.
Northern Sport mods.
What exactly
And
is
hobby,
a sport modified?
hobby stocks. Well, considering from last week a loser,
Like a
but
like a bastardized
other than that-
set of sport mod rules. Is that what they are?
pretty much. But no, I talked to Brad. They've got like 141 pre-entered there already, so
For this weekend.
it should be a good show for this weekend. Yep,
That's a
enough for
good number
race.
for November
and
racing.
obviously, oh, absolutely, absolutely. And once again, I think Brad's done a great job down there, and he just really, along with us, really want to thank the racers down there. I mean, they've stepped up, they've supported, and put on a couple good shows at both Casa Grande and Cocopah.
Jim, I can't help but laugh every time I look around. You got a different green screen thing behind you. It's like
You've
this
been to
podcast
Vegas
is
yet,
gonna-
or
this
what? Lately?
podcast is going to get off the rails in a hurry. But anyhow,
Well, I was
I'm going to try to
just-
steer it back on every time it starts
was-
to go off the rails.
Just watching a movie last night, leaving Las Vegas. In some cases, it was leaving Las Vegas late in the day. You sure as hell couldn't leave early.
We need sound effects. I still
We need
think
sound effects.
I need one of those Kramer boards, right? Mad Money kind of stuff, where it's just got red
Oh.
buttons and I just start pushing it. Oh, I think that would be so much fun. Nate says we can get that someday too. Our
You know what?
budget just doesn't allocate
You're going to
it
get
for
one
it
of
now.
the. You'll
I'm
live
running-
in this room.
Jim's not running the buttons. I'm running the buttons. I gotta have.
If you get one for you'll have to get one for the
gotta-
one for the Maui condo.
I have to get some
Yeah.
laughs too in here. Yeah, put your.
Do you have sound effects?
Oh, that's the best.
Laugh track.
That's good stuff. See,
Yeah.
I need
See-
those buttons in front of me.
Let's get your timing down.
Nate, I will drill the holes in the table and install the buttons if you'll wire them. As long as
Nate,
it works.
let's see how good your timing is. Hey, once again, Jerry's not here.
Yeah.
That should have been a round of applause.
Woo!
That was a round of applause.
Oh, you're just pushing buttons.
Good stuff. No, we
You
haven't
know what?
had.
Did you have a good weekend last? Did you have a good weekend last weekend, Brett?
As a matter of fact, I did. I got the opportunity to babysit my granddaughter for the first time, and
Teach her any bad words?
I'm telling you, I could have. Holy cow! If she could repeat what I was saying when she was crying for 45 minutes, I love that's Virginia's job. Yeah, sorry, I mean I would if I had to, but thankfully my wife grabbed the diaper roll. You know what I mean? She was in charge of that.
You didn't clean any diapers or change any diapers?
No. But when I was feeding her one time, I heard this like, this like real like a baby crap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's got a pretty distinct sound, and I'm
A
just
healthy baby
I'm
sound.
like,
Healthy baby sound.
babe, I need help over here. Where are you? She's like, what? I said, I think Navy wants you.
I heard that sound one time. I think we were driving home from Wisconsin.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I was having a bad moment. They were solid.
Well, that's
I mean,
good.
it
I'm
wasn't
cheese
anything-
curd
I'm
moment,
glad you had
or-
a.
It was air.
Yeah.
I'm just glad you had a good weekend. I know. I had a relaxing weekend, and as a matter of fact, you know what?
I
Me,
wasn't.
you, and Ryan, and about 250 other racers had in common last weekend.
What's that?
We weren't in Vegas.
I was at a casino, though.
You were?
Yeah, I
Where'd
went
you
to
go?
down in, good Lord, I can't even think
Riverside?
of it. No, down in the Quad Cities.
Oh, you got like Junipers or whatever.
It used
they
to
call
be Jumers, now it's Bally's.
Yeah. I
But-
Spent a night
I
down
think
there.
I think I've stopped there once in my life at
That
one of the
was-
Quad Cities.
That was my
Casinos.
second time there, yeah.
Around here, there's, we have so many casino
Yes.
options around us. You know, it's funny. Again,
Why go to Vegas?
There's like 4
Right.
or 5 within an hour
what's
or
the
two.
point? You know, you can actually gamble lots of other
Yeah.
places and win just as much money.
Well,
Not that
the
I've
one thing you
ever
don't-
won money gambling.
The
'cause I
one
haven't.
thing
I've
you,
always
you
lost.
don't get at you know at the casinos around here that I did see in Vegas is
Siegfried and Roy. Is that Siegfried and
musicians.
Roy?
You know,
Oh,
you
good
know,
Lord.
I saw, and there's one out there right now. You know, you got Chris Angel. I've seen the Statue of Liberty disappear. 747 disappeared. They got one out in Vegas right now that made 250 modifieds disappear.
Nate, where's the laughs?
Abracadabra. They're
Oh.
gone.
That's why I need the button. Anyhow, we're gonna get back on the rails here because we're jumping off. So
What are we,
our
5
banquet.
minutes in?
Yeah, we're 5 minutes in, and Jim needs his green taken away for an
You, have
episode or two.
you need a button here to control his green screen.
Oh, no.
No kidding. Turn Jim off button. No, but I wanted to make sure that we mentioned again our national banquet is the RSVPs, anybody who was a champion, track champions, series champions, regional champions, state champions, national champions, super
Rookies of the
national
year.
champions, rookies of the
State
year,
or Rookie of the Year for
Lady Eagle,
regional and national levels.
junior national champions, anybody that was basically anybody who was a what's the word I'm
Champion.
looking for? A champion.
If you go on the points on our
Recognized.
website, if there's a champion listed, then you're going to be
Yeah,
recognized.
and people ask us too. Hey, what do you have to do to win an IMCA track championship? That's always an interesting question. It happens every year, but 4 is the magic number for us. It has been for many, many years. In order to be crowned a champion of an IMCA series or track or whatever it may be, 4 is the magic number. It has to be 4 series races, 4 track point races, 4 of something that we can pool together instead of just having a track championship or winning one race,
And
which
one
would
other
happen
thing
if
that-
we allowed it to happen.
And with those too, I mean, they can't all be like
Yep.
7 or 8 redraw shows. They need to be for like a
Correct.
track championship.
and
We try to
something
have
else
it
they usually
fit into our
they usually
invert
need to
system and
do
everything else. Correct.
to be a track champion. A lot of times they have to have more points than the second place guy.
Yeah, that would be preferred.
Usually,
Yeah,
don't they?
that's how that works, Jim.
Okay, I just want to clarify
Yep.
that.
So again, anybody who we sent invitations out a few weeks ago.
Yep.
I know people got them. I know people in different states have received them. So
Virginia's been busy with the RSVPs.
RSVPs
a week ago
are
we were
rolling
at
in.
300. I think we were already at half capacity for the
Our
hotel.
deadline for RSVPs is actually what, tomorrow?
tomorrow.
Thursday,
Tomorrow
which
afternoon.
is the 17th. We're actually filming this on the 16th of November. Don't know when Nate will get this up. Maybe tonight, hopefully. But yeah, the RSVP, we'd like to have everybody RSVP by Thursday, November 17th. If you have some last minute stuff where it comes up and you didn't think you could make it or you could make it, obviously reach out to us the 18th or even next week, early
We
next
won't
week.
turn you away.
We won't. We want as many champions to come, especially somebody who's never been there before. We've got a lot of repeat champions. We talked about that on our last episode. Seven national champions ever
Have
repeated.
won before, yeah. I think we had a lot of new track champions.
Not back to back necessarily,
Right.
but
Yeah, we've got a few back to back, but yeah, there's a lot that have won in the past.
yep. And a couple, two national champions that hadn't. Who are they?
That hadn't won.
Yep, they aren't repeat. Dylan Richards.
Dylan Richards in a
But
hobby stock.
he actually won it in a compact.
He
some
did, but-
in 2017.
Yeah, but
He didn't win in a hobby stock.
Correct.
The other one would be the Southern Sport Mod.
Rodney White.
Rodney White.
Correct. I don't know if I've ever met Rodney.
I don't think I have. I don't know.
All
where
the
I
other guys
would've.
I've met that I can remember, I've met either at the races or obviously at a banquet. But no, looking forward to that. And again, Friday night champions reception at the Speedway Museum. We're gonna do a podcast there. I think that'll probably be our next podcast. I don't think we're gonna do a podcast early next week with all our banquet preparations because we're busy. What do we have? I think I went over it last time.
The numbers.
Like 800 or so. We have to do jackets and plaques for 800 racers. It's 3 pallets of plaques that come to the office. Hopefully, the end of this week.
Probably 20 boxes or so of jackets.
And yeah, we usually have a cargo van or the enclosed trailer full of
Right.
jackets. We go and get those. We have those done over at Intensity in Boone. We do a lot of business with Intensity at Boone. Can't thank them enough because they make some nice looking jackets too.
Right.
Carson wore a jacket last weekend, Jim. Were you gonna
yes,
bring
he
this
did.
up?
Out and about in the
or a
town.
jacket.
Out
And
about
once
in
again,
St. Cloud?
speaking of the banquet, Carson has done a fantastic job rounding up contingencies.
We
I don't know where they're coming from, but he's got a ton of them for you racers.
I heard where they're coming from.
What jacket did he wear? Said he wore a jacket. What is?
So Carson had a friend in town last weekend. He said a college buddy or something like that. He came into town, so him and his buddy went out for drinks in St. Cloud last weekend. What overnight it was, I don't know, Friday or Saturday night. And he wore his IMCA jacket out, and apparently it got some attention.
Anything else going up on in St. Cloud that weekend?
Perhaps.
Huh.
But
Interesting.
so
Interesting. But once again, I think you talked about the podcast at the banquet. I've got a lot of calls how people can be in the studio audience for that podcast. Do they need a ticket or how does that work?
Are we selling tickets now?
are we selling tickets? Can we do that?
It's going to be at Speedway, isn't it?
Yeah, it'll be at Speedway.
Yeah.
Like what we were saying, I don't know what kind of equipment we'll take over there.
We might need security over there.
We just probably have headsets, I
absolutely.
imagine. We're just headsets. We're not taking over our set that we have here at the office. So
We're not loading the tables up, Nate, and all the
they have
chairs.
wheels on them, don't they?
Yeah, they got wheels.
Can I bring my green screen?
No.
It's like things at Boone. Our tables are like things at Boone. When in doubt at Boone, just put wheels under it. Because then if we change our mind, we can just take it back. It's kind of like promoting at a fairground facility, really, to be quite honest.
That's right.
Promoters do.
Better have wheels
Hook all
on it.
your shit up to wheels. That way when the fair board says we're through, you can haul your stuff out.
Get out of here. In case Lottie gets pissed at me someday and says, "You're out of here, IMCA," I can say, "Fine, I'm taking my office with me." Just hook it onto my truck. and
Office
pull
has
it.
wheels, huh?
Yeah. Hook it, 2 of them. Hook it up to my truck and pull it back to Fenton. Had enough. But anyhow, so the banquet. And one quick other thing. The banquet's obviously on Saturday of next week. 5 p.m. cocktails. 6 p.m. is when we kind of like rally the troops up and everybody get ready and come in. And then we do some quick
For the banquet, the introductions of promoters,
Yep.
sponsors,
Yep.
staff.
Yep. And then I believe Clay Smith from Speedway will be there, obviously, and speak. And I get the opportunity to speak at the
And
banquet.
speak and
It's not that bad. It's
Jim,
not like
and speak.
It's not like a driver's meeting at the duel.
Hey,
And speak.
hey,
You know, it's not like a driver's meeting at the duel.
No comment.
You know, I used to be what lasted the longest at the duel. Not no more. Even I don't talk till 3:30 in the morning.
3:30. They got done that early.
At 3:30 in the morning, I'm in bed, even in Vegas,
Well, that must have been
unless
practice
I'm trying to
tonight.
catch an airplane. Okay, so the banquet will be on Saturday. Cocktails 6, cocktails 5.
5.
Yep.
6, we'll rather gather everybody up 7 o'clock.
Eat around 6:30, quarter 7.
Yep. And people always ask, what do I wear? You know, business casual is appropriate there.
We prefer not jeans. We don't want jeans.
No jeans, no shorts, no hey dudes.
Right.
You know,
Damn,
preferably.
no hey dudes?
Well, I take that back. You can wear a tux.
I don't have hey dudes.
You can wear a tux with hey dudes. We'll let you.
That look good.
I dare you. Maybe Grabowski will do that. I think Grabowski's got hey dudes.
Oh,
He's
I'm
got
sure
hey
he
dudes.
does.
He's got hey dudes.
I bet you Jordan's got a pair of hey
Take a
dudes.
look at him. You know he does.
Exactly.
He's got
Maybe
hey
we can get
dudes.
him to wear his hey dudes at the banquet. They get shoes with the tux and all that fun stuff.
Oh, yeah.
but
So
it'd be interesting. So, and again, point funds, we just this week, we printed all our point fund checks. I think it was 3,700 checks, I think is what Virginia was printing.
I thought it was 40,
Yeah.
45 or something like that, 4,500.
I thought it was
37?
3,700
37.
point fund checks this year. And the number I have in front of me, it's not quite accurate. It's actually a little low. It was 595, 243.10. So $595,243.10. And is what I have in point fund, the initial, but I know there's some tracks not included in this that haven't paid all their sanctioning fees yet. And as soon as we get those things resolved, that goes up.
Virginia just sent me an update.
It'll be over 600,000.
It was Virginia just sent this to me. It was 10,372 checks for $13.7 million.
Oh gosh.
Those are the updated numbers.
Those are the gym numbers.
I'm going to warn everybody though. We are going to have to tire test everybody in order for them to get that part of that 13 million. And the tire tests might take 10 years.
Well, yeah, we got to make sure. You know,
If
cross
they
our
pass the
eyes,
tire test, we'll pay it in 10 years.
dot our I's, cross our T's, and we should have it by.
I thought you were responsible for bringing this back on the rails, not keeping it off the rails.
595, 243,
2032.
It's a big amount of money. It's usually right around 600,000 that goes in track point funds, that goes into any series point fund that we may have, that goes into the regional point funds and into the national point funds. And obviously, you know, not all of our divisions have regions. Some do, some don't. All of our divisions have essentially national point funds. We do pay a national point fund for everybody. We don't do a track point fund for the sport compacts. It's just been something that we've always we felt like establishing a point fund for an entry-level division when we first developed that division of cars was not something that we were going to do. And so we get some sport compact guys that don't necessarily appreciate that, and I get it. But with that being said, usually at the banquet, which division has the most track champions at it? Representing
sport
it.
compact, yeah, compacts.
It's almost always sport compacts. So, but they get a jacket, they get a plaque, they get recognition, and you know it's crazy. I mean, usually half of them are female. We have a lot of women's sport compact racers. It's kind of crazy, and they're usually the youngest group. That's the other thing that I notice when I'm getting my picture taken with them is they're young and they're not all men, which is cool, you know. But 595,000, 243.10. I think there's actually another 10 or 15,000 that's going to be added to that with some of the unpaid sanctioning fees.
There's that
and
much out.
This is, and I think I might have said this last week. This is important for the racers to understand. We mail those checks if you don't come to the or if you don't come to the banquet. We mail those checks to everybody's address. We don't, generally speaking, issue those checks to the track for the track to issue. So let's just use Vinton here in town as a good example. He's got a banquet this weekend for the Benton County Speedway. their sanctioning fees are what generate the IMCA point fund for the tracks that for the divisions that we sanction in Vinton. So essentially, the IMCA check that we send out of here that goes to the racers is what the track is paying for sanctioning fees.
Yep.
So we don't generally speaking add any money to those sanctioning fee amounts. And so we have people that criticize us for our point funds. I'll use Todd Staley as an example. He'll hold our magazine or our newsletter, and do a Facebook Live of how shitty we are because our point funds aren't very big when we pay $600,000+ worth of them. But that's happened too, for those that are mad that I said that. But
42 minutes of irrelevance.
Insecurities is what I called it. 42 minutes of insecurity. So we're getting off the rails again, Ryan. But
Come on,
I
Ryan,
think it's
you're supposed to
important
bring
for
us
our, I think
back.
it's
I'm not
important.
bringing you back. You guys do what you're going to do.
3,700 checks going for a total of a little over $600,000 to IMCA racers. That includes our national point funds. Again, $10,000 to win our modified national point fund. It's not like it's a small amount of money. I don't know if anybody's paying more on a weekly racing sanction for their national championship in their modified divisions. So it's nothing to sneeze at. But it's generated on sanctioning fees. Our modified division has the highest weekly sanctioning fees, so that's why the point funds are generally higher for modifieds.
And the more those tracks race, the more money that will be in.
Correct.
It really is a function of numbers. It's without getting into the weeds too much on how it's structured for modifieds. It's we do charge $75 plus 5% of the purse paid out that night by the racetrack. So if the track, paid a $2,000 purse, it's an extra $100. So the sanctioning fee would be $175. That's how it's calculated for IMCA modified racing. Our other divisions are just flat amounts. $65 for sport mods.
And hobby stocks.
And hobby stocks. I think stock cars $75.
Yep.
$100 for late models.
And
$100 for sprint cars.
And sprint cars.
Yep. And so we retain as a sanction $15 out of most of those fees. That's what we charge the racetrack. If they pay a $65 fee, sanctioning fee for a Saturday night at Boone for hobby stocks, they send us a check for $65 for the hobby stocks. We keep $15 of it. The remaining $50 goes into the Boone Speedway Track Point Fund, and that is what it accumulates at each one of those racetracks that's sanctioned by us in those point funds.
So if
and
Boone races 20 nights, that's $1,000.
It's $1,000, correct. Yep. So it's not rocket science. Our sanctioning fees are not that complicated.
Because we're not that smart.
We're not. And
No.
it gets hard to keep track of it, to be quite honest. The modifieds are always we go through this every year. A racetrack, it's 5% of the total purse per night. So if a track has 10 cars, but pays $1,000 to win, their sanction fee technically may be more than a racetrack that gets 20 cars that's paying $500 to win or $400 to win. It really does vary on the track's purse. So if a track pays more money in the modified division, essentially their point funds that they generate at the end of the year are generally higher. Boone's a good example. Boone doesn't pay a bunch of money. They do some Super Saturday night stuff now that pushes some of their Saturday night mod sanctioning fees up a little bit, but they race a ton at Boone.
Right.
Like
Well, some of
20.
those sanction fees though do bump up. I mean, when Josh pays those sanction fees, I mean they're $500 a night for one division.
Yeah,
that's pretty
can
pricey.
be.
That's pretty
It's in the
pricey.
upper level of sanctioning fees that tracks are paying as a facility like Boone, maybe like Arlington, some of these facilities that have 5+ sanction classes of cars, Eagle, places like that. They put $500 a crack is not unusual per night. So every Saturday night, that's what they pay to us, and we'll keep $15 out of every division, generally speaking, and so. That's how we take it as an admin fee. That's how we make money on racing from an event standpoint. It doesn't generate a ton of money per night, per track. And it adds up, for the whole year, they may pay $500 in admin fees to IMCA, generally speaking, and have $4,000 point funds. So it makes sense. But at the end of the day, when we're sending all these checks out, if you don't come to the banquet as a champion and get your check, when we send this stuff into the mail, the racers see that. It's from IMCA, but it's really from their racetrack. And so a lot of promoters get short-sighted or the short end of the stick on that because they rely on us to pay their point funds. Their sanctioning fees are their point funds. They don't necessarily supplement them, where some racetracks do. They'll add more money into them on their own, or they'll have their own things. They'll have sponsors do that. I mean, we see it all the time, racetracks they'll advertise they have a $10,000 point fund. Well, it's not through sanctioning fees paid to
Well, some
IMCA.
tracks will also request their point fund be sent to them for the track banquet. Sometimes
Correct.
we will send.
We have sponsors, we have track, or we have series and
yeah.
tracks that have very good weekly racing sponsors that send us their sponsorship money to put directly into the point funds at the end of the year for them, for their racers. So we do a variety of things here that float those point funds around up and down a little bit. But if they were all racing the exact same night and all had the exact same car count and all paid the exact same purse in every single division, every point fund in IMCA would be exactly the same at every racetrack, but it's not. It's how many nights they race. It's what division it is. It's, if it's modified, is it not modified?
What their purse is.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Did they supplement it? Did they put their own sponsor money in it? Those kinds of things. It really plays into it. So,
And we've had promoters that even with the flat, like say a sport mod sanction fee of $65, you mentioned the $75 flat fee for the modifieds and 5% of the purse for mods.
Yeah.
We've had promoters that pay 5% of the purse for other divisions just to bump up.
Sure.
So
It's the minimum.
Yeah, that's another.
Yeah.
That's another.
Yeah, our
different.
structure is the minimum. And so, that's what you have to pay in order to sanction with IMCA as a track operator. And, people ask, what's it take to sanction? Two things. First one is
Geographically.
Insurance is number one to me anyway.
insurance.
Well,
you have to have it at the racetrack level, and you have to have it on the participants. Jim, you're going to get into what night they race on and all that other kind of stuff. That's a whole other layer of complexity when it comes to how we do business event-wise. But if we're going to sanction a racetrack, they have to have insurance on the facility. They have to have insurance on the participants, on the racers, and they have to pay sanctioning fees. Those three things. And then you get into scheduling and some of these other complexities that
I
get
feel a headache coming on.
Oh, man. Ryan, Jim probably got a headache right now. Yeah.
Is the season.
It's November. We're already talking about 2023.
Yeah. So, again, I've spent a lot of time. I like to talk a lot. Spend a lot of time talking,
time are hot laps?
explaining point funds, because hot laps start in 20 minutes.
Just want to make sure you didn't overtalk.
1 a.m.
No hassles, no hassles, no gimmicks.
Yeah. So that's how the point funds are structured. That's how they're distributed. Usually, if one racer gets more than one point fund check, we try to consolidate all those checks into one envelope, make one IMCA mailing to that racer.
And if you are a champion too, you'll get your plaque, you'll get your jacket in the mail along with the point fund check.
Yeah,
so.
people ask what we contribute. We pay for the plaque. We pay for the jacket. We ship them all to all the racers that don't come to the banquet.
That adds up.
We buy all the trophies. We buy all the trophies.
Our national point fund
does add up.
and regional point funds, those are all paid from IMCA. We don't use any of the track money to pay that national or regional point funds.
No, we're fortunate in many situations to have sponsors that assist in some of that. Some of them will pay some of that. If we have divisional sponsors, very few pay the total amount that the point funds are. Our sponsorships are generally not that expensive, but they supplement it. It helps. It helps the bottom line here. It helps us free up some of our money instead of putting all of it into point fund. We can do track visits. We can send friendly Jim, to their races.
Most times.
When did you hire a friendly Jim?
Friendly Jim. Yeah.
It's a new Jim.
I haven't met him
Nate,
yet.
I need a button, Nate.
I haven't met him yet.
So on the point fund, that's it in a nutshell. So if you ever want to, I've wrote about this in my newsletter column. We distribute stuff that's not top secret. You can find what our structure is. We have many racers that end up being promoters, and so they ask these questions. But they're not private. There's no secrets when it comes to some of that
Full
stuff.
Transparency. Full transparency.
We're pretty transparent on that stuff. One of the other things, too, two things I want to touch on when it comes to money to the racer. GM, Chevrolet, performance, track champion bonuses. Our program with GM, I think we're in year 12, maybe. It's a lot, over 10. I think we're in year 12 or 13 with General Motors, in that range. With their program, they pay to a $250 bonus to any track champion who wins a track championship with a crate engine in a division that allows crate engines. So, hobby stock, sport mods, you can run a 602. If you have a 602 and you win the track championship, you're going to get a $250 check that's going to come from IMCA as well, but it's from General Motors. It's from Chevrolet Performance. So we also do that with the late model division. Any late model guy who's got a 604 in his car, and any modified guy who's got a 604 crate in their car, the Chevy Performance engine, is going to get a $250 bonus as well. Those checks that we're populating this week, there's going to be 200 of them. So out of all of our track champions, 200 of them this year. It's weird how it ends up even
number.
There's going to be 200, there was 200 track championships that were won with a crate in the car. And that's a really interesting statistic to me, because you look at we ask that question on your membership. People want to ask why we ask that question on your membership. When you put your application in, people are like, oh, Brad wants vacation money. No, I don't want vacation money.
You have a wife, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what my wife's for. She takes me on vacation with her. But it's important for the racer to check on there. Yes, I'm competing with a crate, because at the end of the year, we take our track champions, we take our membership base for each division that allows a crate, and we cross-reference them. And if you win a track championship and have marked on your membership that you're racing with a crate, you get a $250 bonus. We have 50, like I said, 200 of them that are getting $250 for each championship.
That's quick math. I tell you, that's that $50,000.
That's $50,000.
That's what I thought.
That's cash. That's not contingencies. That's not product certificates off spending $50,000. That's not a double down bonus or anything like that. That is hard cash, right straight to the racer that has a crate engine that wins a championship. So those 200 racers, and I'm not going to name them all, are each going to get $250. Some guys get 500 because they've won two championships with it. So $50,000. And then the other, so that pushes our point fund to, $650 and some change. And the other one that we're working on right now as well, there's a lot of stuff going on here, IMCA.TV, the replays. And again, I think I've mentioned this before, but we have a replay option for IMCA.TV. Any live event in IMCA.TV is pay-per-view. You pay to watch that race. And we have a subscription model if you don't want to pay-per-view live races. Every race that's on IMCA TV goes into our replay system right after the event. How long does it take, Nate? Very long? 5 minutes? You do 10 or 15 minutes after an IMCA TV broadcast, live IMCA TV broadcast, that event is put into the replay system. So a person who is a replay subscriber
that $24.95
can watch that after the fact. So people say, oh, it's not fair. You guys need a $150 subscription. Well, I don't think, and our position is, a $150 subscription is not fair to the racetracks.
Absolutely.
It's not fair to the racetracks at all doing live events. They're selling events, live racing events, for pennies to people. And I don't think that is a very good long-term plan for the racer at the end of the day, because racetracks need revenue. They need people in the stands. They need their streaming revenue. And any streaming revenue they get, they can use that to supplement the purses. Purses get paid to the racers. So it's all attached. But anyhow, so the IMCA TV money, what do we do with that? We split it up, the replay money. It's a monthly subscriber, and there's thousands of people that subscribe. I'll be honest. There's a fair amount. And we take that money, and at the end of the year, any IMCA.TV affiliate or any IMCA.TV event that we broadcast, weekly racing event at that facility, we allocate some of that revenue back to them. We give we give 50% back. We get 25% to the racers, and I think it's 25% to the tracks, something like that. It's a split, is what it does, but it puts money back to the racer. That amount is quite a bit of money.
And that's based off of points also, isn't it? Is it similar, or is it different than that?
Yes, we base any checks that we do at the end of the year, like on the replay stuff, is going to be on points. I don't think last year we did this. We split equal amounts to everybody. I think we did it. We did like first, second, third.
Right. I think it was top 3 last year.
Yeah, but the replay, and it gets very complicated because Chris writes algorithms and all kinds of weird shit on trying to fairly pay the racetracks the amount of money that each one of them gets for the amount of viewership that they have. Because again, when you pool in a bunch of money, subscription model wise, you throw it into a pot. The challenge is, and always has been, is how does that money get divided fairly to those that are participating in that pot? You know, you could just give everybody the same amount, or you could give the lion's share to one because you like them, or you could give one racetrack nothing because you don't like them. You know, there's weird things that you could do. You know, so we try to have it based on stuff that makes sense, and that is viewership, how many minutes that they watch. We actually probably break it down to seconds. And I probably, if I talk too much, Nate, I mean that's the structure. So we're going to put some money back into the racers, into the point funds at the tracks that are using IMCA.TV to broadcast their weekly racing. That's important for everybody to understand. Not all IMCA racetracks are going to get this because they don't broadcast with us. If they want to broadcast with another streamer, third-party streamer, they're more than welcome to do that. We don't force people to broadcast with IMCA TV.
And that's another check. I mean, every check that you get, it's going to say what each check was for. So you'll know if it was a
that'll
GM
be like,
performance, if it was fourth place in points at Benton County Speedway, if it was this
the
IMCA
memo.
TV bonus. Yeah.
The memo
It's
on
all
the check
broken down.
usually says that. I try to tell my little sister, who's also our business manager, or Virginia Lindsay, who, depending on who's doing which round of checks, to put that in the memo so the racer just doesn't get a check in the mail and go, well, what the hell is this for? You know, Brett likes me.
Because we like you.
Exactly.
We like you.
So
I've never gotten one of those checks.
So you're going to get point fund checks. You're in the mail. 3,700 of them. There's going to be a couple hundred checks that are going to go for GM bonus money to track champions. And then there's going to be IMCA TV replay revenue money. That point fund contribution out of the IMCA TV replay, Chris and I went over it just a little while ago, is $66,677.
Wow.
So another almost $67,000 is going to go back to the racers in this program.
So you're over $700,000 now.
Yeah, and again, people, it's not sexy. People don't think it's cool. You know, if we're issuing 3,700 point fund checks and you're giving guys checks for $26, people are like, IMCA's only giving me $26. Well, there's 3,699 other people that got point fund too, and when you start adding all that up, it gets to be a substantial amount of money. So, but how we do the TV replay money, last year I think we paid the top 3 at each racetrack. I don't know if we'll do that again this year if we try to spread it back a little bit more. But last year I think there was only like $25,000 or $30,000 in replay money that went to the racetracks that were hosting IMCA TV streamed events, weekly events. So
that's increased quite a bit this year.
Tripled.
Yeah.
It's tripled this year. So, and that's something that I can't thank Chris at Rivet enough for what he's done for IMCA racing, for our streaming efforts since 2020. I've known Chris since probably 2010. I met him at the RPM workshops when he was doing something else. And so I've known him for a dozen years now, and he's one of the smartest guys. I tell him he's the stupidest, smartest guy I've ever met. Because
that's a very good way to describe him.
He is just smart.
You cover all bases.
Yeah, you cover it all.
He is smart as shit. But,
I would hate to see how his brain functions.
He says some of the dumbest things to me at times, and I'm like, "Did you just say that?" You know, but he is. He's, you know, my daughter calls him Idiot Chris. I mean, she's 11. I mean, why is she calling him Idiot Chris? Maybe that's because Virginia calls him Idiot Chris.
I
But
think we
anyhow,
call people that because they're smarter than us and we don't know how else to interact.
yeah, I can't thank Chris with the Rivet platform enough and Romeo, who I've never met in person. I can't thank them too enough for all they've done for IMCA streaming efforts since 2020, especially because it is pumping. It's over $100,000 in money back into IMCA track point funds, which we never had before. The racers are going to benefit from that. We do an equal amount to the racetracks. The racetracks are going to benefit from that. And I know every racer is going to say, well, how come we don't get all of it? How come you get any of it? Well, we have a lot of we have to pay guys like Nate and Garrett and Chris what they're worth to do these kinds of things, and they bust their asses doing streaming for us. And the racetracks have to get a fair share at the end of the day. The facilities have to get a fair share.
Well, they're the ones putting on these shows. I mean, you've got to.
The promoters need every racer that they can get, and very rarely do you ever have a promoter say, I don't need any racers. You know, they may not need certain ones sometimes.
Yeah.
We say that too, but you know, don't get mad at me, but it happens. Some people are more work than they're worth. I'm sure people think that about me at times, you know, but
No.
yeah, but my wife might even actually think that. But the TV money, the streaming revenue is starting to ramp up in a way that's putting large amounts of money back into point funds at racetracks, large amounts of money back into the coffers of weekly racing facilities that we sanction. And I can't thank Chris, and I can't thank Nate and Garrett and all the affiliates, you know, Kelly and Dugan and people who racers don't even know, but there's people pushing those cameras every event back and forth, stirring the, what does he call that? Stirring the paint? I don't know when you do it. They're good at it. Watching the you have to have somebody run that camera down the front stretch.
Oh, that's stirring the paint?
Yeah, it's like stirring the paint. Because I tried it at Boone one time. I'm like, oh, I'm going to mess this up. So I didn't do it. I didn't do it when it was important. They're like, you can do it, but you aren't going to do it during a feature. Because people complain. But anyhow, all the fans that are watching IMCA streaming through IMCA TV, through any of the affiliates, through any of the sanctioned facilities that have their own channels like Vinton, all the race fans, you know, that money is not going towards my vacation fund. It is going towards point funds and bank accounts to racetracks, which are very, very, very needed for all of us to survive. So it's been a crazy year, you know. I mean, I think I said it at the beginning of this year, and again, I'm talking too much. I said it at the beginning of this year.
No, you're not, Jerry.
Hey, we're missing him, so I'm going to fill in. I said, I don't know where it was at. It might have been at Abilene. I don't know, wherever I was at beginning of the year. I can't remember. You know, 2020 during the pandemic was probably in my lifetime or my tenure at IMCA since '97. I would say 2020 was probably the most challenging to be a promoter with the pandemic and the government literally shutting facilities down with no options. You know, the state of Michigan didn't race. The state of California couldn't have fans. You had Oregon, I don't think, could race.
They couldn't race. Yeah.
They literally wiped racing off the map. You know, and so whenever I watch, like, you watch it on TV, and there's a lot of people talking about restaurants. You know, it's like, oh, you know, they closed the dining, and you know, there's a lot of people who own family restaurants that were just decimated during the pandemic. Well, the same thing happened in racing to racetracks, but they're not. You know, they aren't going to get the attention that they should, like some of the other stuff did. But we all went through the same thing in 2020, all industries, and it was, I would say, it was probably the hardest year that I'm aware of for a promoter to operate. But they got through it. Some of them got through it very successfully, and a lot of it was help with streaming, you know. So it was probably one of the hardest years to be a promoter, but I think we as a sanction and promoters, also many smart ones, learned a lot from that experience. And then you go to this year, and I said at the beginning of the year, and I'll maintain it, I think this year probably was one of the hardest years to be a racer in the 20-some years that I've been here at IMCA since 1997. You know, I mean, you've got outrageous diesel and fuel prices, the high record prices on some of that stuff in many states. So pulling race cars up and down the highway makes less and less sense. And then you've got issues like inflationary stuff with food and everything else, and everything just getting crazy expensive. So to me, and people not even be able to buy parts. I think the last 2 years have been some of the most trying times, I think, for racing. And you talk to racers, and yeah, you got some doom and gloom people, but there's a lot of positive things that are still going on, that surface with promoters and with racers both. So if we can get through the last 2 years, I think we can get through a lot of things. I don't know. I mean, the next attack is going to be internally combustion engines, and what's going to happen from that standpoint when you get into dirt track oval racing. What are we going to do? That's a whole nother subject. But from a current times and the stuff we face right now, I think the last 2 years have been very challenging for everybody involved, including us as a business. And we survived. So, and we're still pushing $700 and some odd $1,000 back into the racers' pockets in the next month. I mean, sure, would I like to push 13 million, but we're going to have to tire test everybody for that amount to get that high.
Yeah. And not just an ordinary tire test. We're going to have to do a super duper special one.
We're going to have to eliminate some people.
Yeah.
That's a lot of
But,
money.
once again, this time of the year, and we all get it, well, what do you guys do now that's the off season, And I think, Ryan, you're probably going nuts. Brett, obviously trying to load trailers and make sure you get all the jackets, and Ryan going through all that. And, we're all off to trade shows and what have you. And it's
meetings. You're off to Warpa,
meetings
off to the West Coast. What, in the next day or two, you're going to go to Warpa, and then we got our banquet next week, and then the week after that, we're going to go to Reno.
We had rules meetings a week ago.
We had rules meetings a week ago, which I hadn't even talked about.
Contract stuff, getting ready for next year. We've only got a month and a half until 2023 is here.
Yep.
I think our first race is the 4th or the 5th. I think Jake Bicker's going to PRI again, Brett.
Is he?
Yeah. Maybe we want to take him to dinner.
Sure. Good times. Okay. So
Jake's a fun guy to take to dinner.
PRI is a good example. I mean, that is a really, really expensive show to attend. I'm not.
But we got a neat PRI, we got a neat display this year.
We have to be there. You have to be there. We feel we have to be there. If you're going to be taken serious, in my opinion, in the racing industry, at least as a sanction. I mean, we can get into the parts people and their opinions on that kind of stuff. But we're not in the parts business. We're in the sanctioning business. We're in the service industry. And to me, circle track dirt racing, our biggest show has been PRI for many, many moons now. So I just think if you're gonna be taken serious as a sanction, you got to have a booth at PRI. And we have participated as long as I can remember. Even when they moved that damn thing to Florida, we participated for a while. It was really expensive to go to that trade show because we all had to fly. At least if with it in Indianapolis, we can drive over. It takes us about 6 or 7 hours to get there.
I believe Cincinnati was our first.
You want to go to PRI with us, Ryan? You're going to say no.
Hello.
I'm trying to think of what I got going on. It's like first weekend in December, isn't it?
I think it's like the second. Yeah. Technically, it's the second weekend.
7th.
Second full.
Yeah.
It starts on that we set up on like the 7th, which is like a Wednesday, and then the show's Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It gets over at like 4 on Saturday at like, what is that, the 10th or whatever it is?
Yeah, the 10th.
And we break all our booth down. We try to get home at a decent time. The nice thing coming back is we got a 1 hour time change for us.
Oh,
so we save an hour, so it's technically like leaving over there at 3. But it's still
the nice thing about coming back for me is I get to land.
All you dirty birds are flying. I'm driving the booth over. How's that work? Carson's flying, Dave's
1, 2, 3,
flying, Jim's flying. Yeah, and I'm driving. I got the short straw.
Driving the booth?
Yeah, I get the short straw. But PRI is a place, again, we've had a lot of fun times at PRI. It's hard not to go there and have fun as well. It's good to see racers there. Any racers, really, to be quite honest. We talk about rules. We get yelled at. We get told we ain't worth a crap. That's usually at like the Howl at the Moon. Yeah, I had a guy say that to me one time.
Ain't worth the crap.
Yeah.
He says, "Why are you in here?" And I said, "Because I want to be." He said, "Nobody likes you. Why are you in here?" And I said, "I beg to differ. There's got to be one person in here that likes me. If he don't, I'm going to
Where
pay him
was
to
that?
like me." Howl at the moon. You know, that's where you can put up on they have like a big board and you can put for $10, you know, you put that stupid crap on the wall.
Nobody likes you there.
And everybody just throws money out the window, making fun of everybody else. I was happy. I give people the opportunity to make fun of me.
And that's why we have a podcast.
You do it for free right here.
Made
That's
the
what I
bar
was
some
gonna
money.
say.
Yeah, that's why I have a podcast now, so we can get them back.
But for $10, if people want to Venmo us $10, we'll make fun of them.
Correct. I don't even have a Venmo account.
I don't either.
Do you have Venmo?
Nope.
I don't either.
I have Venmo,
I bet
or
you
my
do.
wife
Do you
does.
have cryptocurrency, Brett?
No,
No,
I don't.
You don't. Nobody does now, do they?
Yeah, it makes you wonder. Do you read that kind of stuff? Does anybody read that stuff? You imagine
I
if
think
we were playing. You imagine we were paying our point funds in FTX cryptocurrency this year. I mean, it goes bankrupt. I mean, how do people get away with that? This is what I don't understand. I said this to my wife when you see that stuff on the news, right? So if I go into the bank or if I go any place and I rob them for $100, or if I try to take $10, you get arrested. You go to jail. You get in trouble. How does somebody lose $32 billion in 2 days and just hang out with his buddies in the Bahamas still? I mean, I just don't understand how that happens. You can't convince me, and maybe I'm a little bit of a conspiracy theorist. A little bit, Ryan.
A little bit.
I'm not on the way.
Ask the guy in Mar-a-Lago. He knows how to get
Yeah,
away with
exactly.
that stuff, right, Jim?
Uh-oh. Yeah. Yeah. QAnon Brett? No, not me. I'm not into that kind of stuff. But the how does that happen? You know, the Bernie Madoff Madoff went to prison at least.
did.
He died in prison.
Yeah.
But these are young dudes. You know, you got a guy who's 30 years old, and again, I'm going to need Chris or somebody really super smart to explain this crypto stuff to me, because
I never got into it enough to understand it.
we need
No.
a Joe Rogan type podcast. We're bringing some dude in here that's making Bitcoin or whatever the hell they're making, however they make that, blockchains or whatever. I've read about it, and I just get thoroughly confused. But you lose $32 billion and go bankrupt in a couple of days, and I'd be like, how's that guy even survive? How does people? I mean, if you lost $1 million, Ryan,
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know. Yeah,
would you not be pissed?
yeah, I'd be pissed.
I'd be way pissed. I lose $20 on the roulette wheel, and it
But
ticks
if I
me
lost
off.
$1 million I'm smart enough. At least I think I'm smart enough. If I had $1 million to invest in that, then I would hope I'd be smart enough to know I'd had to have had millions and millions more to not invest. I wouldn't put everything into
Oh, that's not how-
anything like that.
that-
But a lot of people did.
a lot of
put
people do.
everything into
Yeah,
that. I mean, I wouldn't. Yeah,
especially the
I
younger
like to think I'm
generation.
smart enough to not do that.
Not necessarily people in our age bracket. Some of the younger ones, a little younger, they kind of bought into some of that stuff. Maybe it's more their gig than ours.
Yeah,
I'm a little bit more traditional in my thinking, but I don't understand.
pillowcase under the mattress, or
Yeah,
you put it in
bury
an
it in
envelope,
bury it
in the backyard,
coffee can in the backyard, and make a map.
in the freezer.
Yeah. But it's fascinating to me. And you look at I watch Netflix. I love documentaries on Netflix.
I
if
do
it's
not have
real.
Netflix, so I do not.
They've got some
yeah.
cool stuff. They got the GameStop stuff. Have you watched the
Oh,
GameStop
I've heard of that.
stuff?
I've heard
I've
of that.
not seen that one. I just started watching Woodstock 99.
the GameStop is also a very interesting thing when it talks about how that stock went up.
That was like 3 or 4 years ago, wasn't it?
No, it was just 2020.
Was it that recent?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know who
Oh,
told
that
me
was
about the GameStop stock?
Chris.
Chris.
I was going to say it had to be Chris.
He's like a Reddit dude. He's like, oh man, on Reddit they're talking about GameStop. I'm like, what's Reddit? I didn't know what it was. I'm sorry, but that's just how I am. But yeah, you watch that the GameStop one on Netflix. You know, I mean, to me that's a little bit more style, and even the one on the some of the stuff on the crypto stuff. There's some crypto stuff that's kind of interesting. My wife she's addicted to the Dahmer one. Have you watched any of that stuff?
I've heard that's very good though. If I had that, I would never leave the house. I'd never come
crap.
to work if I had that.
He
stuff.
had people melting in a 55-gallon bucket or drum in
Right.
the corner of his bedroom, and he would melt them to a slurry and flush them down the toilet.
Why are we having this conversation? Why are we having this?
That's what he
You know,
said.
it started about losing billions in.
I
in
never should have
crypto.
brought
I'm
up
just
cryptocurrency, and now he's.
Yeah.
we need.
You
Well,
were
but then
responsible for
again,
keeping us on the rails, and you have completely.
Oh,
derailed it.
I'm so off track.
It
We need-
really started about losing 250 modifieds,
Oh,
and now we're
that's-
losing
that's
billions
bad.
in crypto. I guess it's all kind of the same.
So again, we'll get back on the rails. We're not giving our point funds in FTX, Bitcoin, or any of those other crypto stuff. That's
Whatever
actually
they are.
it's actually checks they're going to cash, and they'll go out of here if you don't come to the banquet as a champion and get your stuff in person. All our jackets, plaques, checks, everything gets mailed out.
We try
usually
to get
that
it in within that next week.
first week in December. We try, but it's an immense amount of stuff. Well, we could send some pictures. So, what else are we going to talk about? How long have we been talking, Nate? Or how long have I been talking? Holy
55.
crap, a lot. I wanted to bring one of our
geez.
national champion helmets out here, and I forgot. Can I go get it real quick? You want to go get me one?
Yeah.
They're right over here in a box. Just grab one of the boxes. There's like 9 of them out there. 11 of them. I think there's 11. Is there 11 of them?
I think there's probably a.
There's 11 because we have 9 national champions.
And then the Lady Eagle and the Junior National.
Yep, we got
Yeah.
one for Miss Alves, and then we got one for
Mike
Mike Smith. So, who I think are both coming to our banquet. I'm pretty sure that they are. Which because I think the Alves kid was like they moved.
They moved to South Dakota.
Yeah.
Chase had messaged me
From Arizona. Explain
Yeah.
that one.
Exactly.
Don't normally people move the opposite direction?
I'm gonna ask that question when I'm gonna ask that question next weekend. Is like,
What the hell are you moving to the Midwest for?
you realize
In
it
the
gets
winter.
In the winter.
cold here, right? It snows. It snows like what? It snowed like 1 to 3 inches yesterday here in town. In Iowa.
It did. It's.
We're in eastern Iowa. If people are wondering.
Wait, the unveiling.
Oh, we don't even know which one it is, do we?
They've all got the same, I think, general theme. Yes.
Oh, that's cool. It's got the old logo on it.
And I got to thank Stefan Sabizma at Sabizma Graphics. He does these for us. He wraps these helmets. We get the helmets usually from Speedway or Zamp. I think we get a couple of helmet sponsors. This happens to be Rodney White's. So
Where does it have their name on them?
right at the
Oh,
front.
on the front. Got it.
And I
Side.
think that's
We
his
went kinda
colors
old
of his
school.
car.
Oh, yes.
Are all
Each
of them in
helmet is
there?
different. Each helmet is the color scheme of the racer's car for the year. So Stefan does a fantastic job. He does some research, figures out the colors that he does for each champion. The designs are very similar. He changes the colors, changes the name, changes the division, stuff like that. It says Southern Sport Mod on the back. right
Attention
back
to
here.
detail.
He does some really cool things. He's got some IMCA logo overlays in the purple in this by that looks pretty cool that you probably can't see on camera. But yeah, this is Rodney's. This is Rodney's. We're looking forward to give it to him here in a week. He also gets a ring. People don't necessarily remember some of those things either. They look at the money and how much do we pay for a point fund to our champion. Well,
Leather
we give
jacket.
him a custom helmet,
Well,
give him a ring, give him a jacket, give him a driving suit from Velocita. So there's a few $1,000s worth of stuff that they get in addition to, and a great
once again,
Eagle
that's
champion
not
trophy.
that's not cryptocurrency. Our point fund isn't paid with cryptocurrency.
No,
What about poker chips? Have you ever thought about
No.
poker or casino chips?
it's been a while since we've had our banquet at a casino. We used to have it at Omaha at was
The
it
Harvey's?
Harvey's?
what it
Harvey's?
was
called?
Harris?
Harris, whatever they are now, change every week.
It's changed, yeah. But yeah, no, we could try to give poker chips away. I don't know if that's the most legal thing to be doing, especially if the person is
Underage.
underage. I think you can actually get in trouble doing that, but whatever.
I guess that's one way not to pay it all.
It's not my gig. I don't really necessarily knowingly like to do things that are illegal. I said knowingly. But again, helmet looks cool. Rodney
Sure.
White's car number 84. Look at that. And it's always interesting to me. I mean, we've been doing these custom helmets for our champions for, again, as long as I've been here. Stefan's been doing them the last 3 or 4 years. I think he's been wrapping them. He does a great job. Customizes them to each racer. They're not all the same. It's pretty cool. We also give these away to our Super Nationals champions that it competed at Boone. So that's important for people to understand. We did not do one for our Southern Sport Mod Super Nationals champion at KSP this year, or I don't think we do one for the Race Saver
I don't think so.
champion.
I think it's just is it just the Saturday night at Boone?
Yeah, we did. I think we did 6.
Oh, there were 6.
Yeah, we did 6 helmets, and Stefan's got those too as well. And I haven't seen any design. You know, he emailed me, "Hey, this is the artwork for the champions helmets," and I was like, "Oh, that's cool." And then they showed up literally like a day later. So hopefully he gets the Super Nationals ones done, and hopefully most of our Super National champions are able to attend. Our regional champions are able to attend. We like those that are our most decorated champions, obviously, to be in attendance at the national banquet. It's not a requirement. If they don't come,
I think most of them will be there.
Most plan to be there.
There's
We
some
don't
crossover with the Super Nationals and national champions too.
correct. Yeah.
So I think it'll be
Like
well
the
attended.
Rafferty kid, we talked about that, I think, last week.
Yeah.
Come on, Dylan, let somebody else win a mod light race.
He's won everything.
Is
Crying out
Jordan
loud.
Gabowski gonna make the drive?
Let's hope so.
What is that, about a half hour, 20 minutes? If that.
It's like a 5-hour drive for us here at the office, and so, you know, people, you know, it would be nice if the banquet was here in town, but I don't think we can get away with it.
Where would we have it here in
Yeah,
town?
we'd have to have it outside in the field. Might be a little cold, but
No casino.
no casino, no poker.
What about at the mall?
No.
We don't have a mall here in
We don't
town.
have
Oh.
a mall. We have a McDonald's and one
McDonald's.
stoplight in Vinton. Pretty happening place. But what else? I've just been talking my brains out.
You had the agenda, I thought.
I did it.
You're going to talk rules? You talked rules last time.
Yeah, Jim thought we bored people to death talking rules last time,
And today's been a real barn burner.
so we're not going to talk rules. Yeah, we might talk rules, let's say in December when we release them, and
What are you reading, Jim?
I'm just looking at my notes, make sure we didn't miss anything.
Oh.
people start having lots of questions once the rules come out. But I again, in all divisions, and I know people listen to this and use it for reference because I had a guy Facebook message me a specific question. He said, "Oh, never mind, I got it in the podcast." So I think it's relevant to talk about some of this stuff. But just, you know, we're just not a lot of big changes in rules. I haven't talked to Jimmy May much on Mod Light rules for the Mod Light racers, or even Roger at Race Saver for sprint car stuff. But I would venture to say you're not going to see much changing in any of our divisions that we're associated with, and including Race Saver and the Stars Mod Lights. So that's it for rules. We aren't going to have anything too terribly controversial, except maybe where you put the transponder. Sure, it'd be nice if we could get some universal. We'll see. I'm sure people will complain about that too, but that's okay. We'll get through it. Kokopah Winter Nationals. Let's talk some racing, Jim. We'll probably have the month of December to talk about some of this stuff. But did you say that they had like their pit stalls were sold out already?
Yeah, they're upper deck pit stalls. I think there's about 153 of them up on the upper deck.
Upper decker.
They went on sale yesterday.
The upper decker.
Just the upper deck ones. And so Brad put the upper deck stalls on sale yesterday morning, and in less than 8 hours they were all sold out.
Must be some people going to Kokopah.
As of right now, he's got 251 pre-entered for the Winter Nationals.
It's enough for a race.
And when does that start? Is that January 3rd or 4th?
They'll have to run a
or
B
something?
feature. I think
Run a
it's
B.
a practice to 4th, race to 5th, or practice to 3rd, race to 4th.
They aren't going to
Right
race till
around there.
3:30 in the morning, are they?
Well, no. I watched an interesting podcast promoting the shows, and they talk about how racers like to race for less money, but also they want to race longer. And, most racers, you get out to Vegas. What the hell else is there to do in Vegas but sit at the track for 17 hours? So I think, once again, that's what the racers want.
Oh, gosh. All right, Jim.
Hello? Hello?
All right.
This
Is
thing on?
this on?
It's on.
Follow up, Brett?
Hey, I had a great weekend last weekend. I was at home. It was freezing cold here. Wasn't the only place it was freezing cold, but it was freezing cold here, and I sat on my couch and watched Netflix.
Was it cold last
I
weekend?
think that's when I watched the Bitcoin. Oh, maybe it was the GameStop one. Yeah, it was cold here last weekend. It got cold like Didn't
It was
start on,
cold
like,
everywhere
Friday?
I
last
was down in
weekend.
sunny Rock Island last Saturday night, so I don't know what
Sunny
the weather
Rock
was
Island.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
At least you were able to spend time in a casino Saturday night.
like, and I wish I hadn't.
You didn't even have to go to Vegas to do it
I didn't. Had a buffet though. Food was good.
at 4 a.m.
No,
or catch a flight.
no. I was good. I was content.
Yeah.
Ouch. We did have a visitor last week. I do want to thank Phil and Nick from Mel Hambleton for stopping by our office. They came a long ways to talk racing with us, and I would be unfair to at least mention that,
Eat Mexican food.
Yes, we did have lunch. We had lunch in Vinton, which we have a new Mexican restaurant in town, which for Vinton, that's a big deal.
So there's 2 Mexican restaurants in
really
town. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Nick,
No more just McDonald's.
where's the sound effects, Nate?
For Mexican.
We're not going there.
I think Kennedy, or no, not Kennedy, but I think
But
your granddaughter made those sound effects when you changed your diaper.
Nick with Hoosier Great Plains. That's where Nick
Yep.
Bauman came. I talked to Nick again today, and again Phil with Mel Hambleton. They're all connected there. So it's nice to have their interest in IMCA racing and their potential support of IMCA racing in 2023, which is one of the things we were discussing. So more stuff, more stuff. Hopefully more stuff for IMCA racers. And it's not stuff that Carson took from Wasota to give to our racers. It's actually stuff that's just going to our racers from Carson. Right, Jim?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Carson looks great in that IMCA jacket, I'm telling you. It's a good-looking coat.
It's like it was made for him.
I don't know why anybody would boo him wearing that coat.
Oh, absolutely.
got
I figured it'd
booed?
be a standing ovation.
He did. He got booed wearing his IMCA coat. I don't know why. Maybe the Wasota Banquet was in
Hey.
town that weekend or something.
Nobody likes
It
a
ain't
winner.
our. Hey, this is the thing. I'm interrupting you, Jim, because I'm going to keep interrupting because you're going to get off first. It ain't our fault that we were smart enough to recognize the talent Carson is, and going to be, right? Can't hold him.
Absolutely not.
If you're mad at him for leaving Wasota, you shouldn't have let him left Wasota. That's the way I look at it, right?
Correct.
Makes
Yeah.
sense.
He's making a decision.
Right, Brett?
He's making a decision that's best for him, and coincidentally, it's also pretty damn good for us.
Very, very good for us.
Nothing
It's
wrong
a
with that.
win-win. I
Plus,
think
he
they
looks
call
good
it.
in an IMCA coat.
Yeah.
Oh well,
Don't look behind you.
I'm getting everybody hating me. Oh, what do you got on the? Oh, good lord, where did you get that? That's Jim at the Wasota Banquet. He was there last weekend too.
I was there last weekend.
Oh, good
Special
Lord.
guest speaker,
Did they even know
me
you?
and Donnie
Did
Schatz.
did they even know you were there?
No, I was incognito.
God.
You didn't wear
Do
your
you guys
IMCA
rehearse
coat?
this? Because
No.
it just goes boom, boom, boom.
I know. I didn't even.
It's like you
I didn't know where
rehearsed
he
it.
got that. Yeah, he went to the Wasota. Jim went to the.
You were
Wasota
not at the
Ban-
Wasota banquet.
Yeah, he did. He had lunch with
Yes,
Carson
St.
last
Cloud.
weekend.
We had a hospitality suite there.
I can't tell whether you're full of shit or whether you're telling the truth anymore.
And
don't even-
I want to thank Jake Bickler,
I don't even
our
know if
sponsor
answer
for the
that
hospitality
question.
suite, Performance Auto.
Oh, we are in so much trouble. I'm not going to be able to get
Oh,
OPRI.
shit.
I'm going to get beat up.
At least you'll be there.
God.
Yeah, I'm a lover, not a fighter. What else? Anything else? I think we had enough fun.
Oh, it's gone completely off the rails. In fact,
If people listen to this, I'm going to be shocked. Be shocked. We need to get
We're
some
just
better
having
subject matter
fun.
for this podcast. Ryan, we're going to put you in charge of that.
Better
Yeah.
subject matter.
Yeah.
yeah, you're
You and
our new
Dave.
content editor, Ryan.
Dave, yeah, I could talk all day.
Yeah,
We should-
you're
we
in
should get a
charge of
crypto
next
guy in
week's
here
show,
next-
Ryan.
let's-
You're the
Let's get a crypto guy in here next week. What's wrong with that?
Bring him to the banquet. We can put anybody on the banquet podcast.
Yeah. Get crypto guy in here, then get the GameStop people in here.
Or racers. I mean, we're at the banquet.
Oh, yeah.
at the
racers.
banquet. Yeah, we're not going to be here next week.
No, we should get some racers on. Next week's going to be good. I think that podcast at the Champions reception, we're going to put a lot of racers on the spot. We're going to pin them down and ask them hard questions. See if they blush.
Correct.
The pressing questions that
Yeah,
everybody
can I
wants
dri-
answers to.
Can I, if you want to email me, beroot@imca.com, or Facebook message me if I'm actually your friend.
So all four of you,
Yeah, not very many.
hard-hitting questions.
If
that
you'd
you
like
wanna,
us to ask a question next week during the podcast to one of our racers, just email or Facebook message me. I promise you, I'll ask it. I will.
We ought to have a prize for the winning question.
We give away something.
Yeah. Why not?
We give away
We got-
hoodies.
We got 2012 Super National videos back there.
We give away one of these dirt track racing games. Nobody's got a computer old enough to run them anymore. But it looks good on the shelf, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no,
there'll be
I think the
alcohol
winning
at this
question.
event too, so it could get dicey and interesting.
Yeah, I probably won't drink too much. That might be a lie, too.
Maybe you'll drink more.
So we probably had enough fun for today. As much fun as we can have with our clothes on. Is that what they usually say?
Speedy Bill.
Ba-dunk-sh. Where's the music?
Hey, you're
Thing.
I
lacking.
think our producer needs a producer.
Yes.
He doesn't know which button he's
There
pushing.
you
You're
go.
going to label those?
Yeah.
So that wasn't a rim shot. You get a round of applause when you say you're fully clothed. Is that what that is?
Jerry's going to be at the next podcast.
Oh.
No, that is
Where's,
not
do you have a
going on.
groan? Oh.
I was looking for the
Like
yeah, kind of like a more like a
the air
toilet
being let
flushing
out of the
sound.
room.
Crickets.
That's my driver's meetings right there. Is what that is. But anyhow,
So next podcast at the Banquet, Friday night.
Friday night, we'll try to keep it
It's the
fun.
Museum
Speedway
of American
Motors.
Speed.
Try to do a lot of the interviews before they start drinking, because we do give people free beer. That's usually how I try to.
They'll be fun.
That's usually how I try to find friends.
I think it'll be fun. It'll be enjoyable.
It's always a good time.
It is anyway.
It's hard not to have fun at that deal. You know, cool race cars. Talk lots of racing. IMCA's best of the best in the room. Get to hang out with Jim and Dave,
It's the informal.
Ryan
night
will be
before
there.
and Jerry.
Our entertainment chairman, Ryan.
The entertainment chairman.
So we'll wrap it up. Again, episode 25. We'll do number 26 from the Speedway Museum next week.
When did we
Next
start this? Was it
Friday night.
February? When
I
did we
don't
start
I think
doing
about
that?
25 shows ago we started it.
It was April? It was earlier, wasn't it?
We have been making
So 8
fun
months?
of people all year long.
8, 9 months. Man.
And it said, damn Ryan making fun of people.
Yeah, because that's
sometimes
my
it's-
personality.
It's just damn near embarrassing to put me and Brett
Yeah.
on the spot like that, Ryan.
Isn't
I
it,
can see it
though?
on his face. He's
Yeah.
like, "Get me out of the room."
I'm about
Some
ready
of
to
this
use that
stuff.
word that we're forbidden from using on here. In your direction, Jim.
Well, that's why we don't say it, but that's why I got the
I
green
could
screen.
tell you to go to hell.
Again,
I could
if you
tell
aren't coming to the banquet and you're an IMCA champion, we want to congratulate each and every one of you and thank you for racing IMCA. And I can't say that enough. I'll say a little bit in my banquet speech. We'll also broadcast that if you want to listen to it.
Yes, if you're having trouble sleeping, tune in when Brett speaks.
Exactly.
That's
I'm
a
not going to tell
that's a
any.
pay-per-view, right?
I might
That
tell
is
a
pay-per-view,
couple of Jordan Grabowski or Mike Nichols jokes, but I got to be careful doing that because they're usually better at telling jokes than I am.
And they get the last word. They're on the
Correct.
microphone
Word
after you are.
me. So, but again, to everybody who raced IMCA this year, especially those who are decorated champions. If you've won a championship in IMCA racing, Rookie of the Year, and even if you haven't, even if you're 7th place at points at the track points and at your local track, it means a lot. I mean, people can't take that away from you, and especially the championships. Winning a championship is not easy. I don't care what anybody says. There's a lot of reason why people make excuses as to why they don't point race or why they aren't racing at one particular racetrack is because they know how hard it is.
Talk to the points racers,
Dedicated
even the
or
most
not.
accomplished ones, how difficult it is, how much of a commitment
Oh,
it is.
yeah.
It's not easy
Absolutely.
at
It
all.
can be extremely stressful. So
At all.
for those who stuck it out this year, and
it's it's a commitment just to get to the track with a race car. And we really
Right.
appreciate that. I don't care if you're, first or 250th in points, it's an effort, it's sacrifices. And at the end of the day, we really, really appreciate it.
Yes, we do. We'd love to see you at the banquet. If you can't come, everybody have a happy Thanksgiving. We'll send you all the point fund money, all the GM checks, IMC TV checks, all that stuff will be distributed the first week in December. We'll be at PRI. For those who are going to come over to PRI, stop by our booth, 3709. We'll be there as well. So, again, we want to thank everybody for racing IMCA this year. Wish everybody a very, very happy holidays, or at least Thanksgiving at this point. And hopefully we'll see everybody next week at the, if not at the reception, we'll see a lot of people online watching the stream.